Welcome to First Dates and Soulmates, the romance podcast that says you can do this. You're a dude. You are a hunky dude. You are a badass hunky dude. I am your host, Nikki McKnight.
And I'm Meg Casebolt.
And we are continuing our month of back-to-school themed materials. And today we are talking about the Amanda Bynes 12th night retelling, She's the Man. Meg, had you seen this movie before, or was this a first-time watch for you?
Brand new watch to me.
Are you serious?
I've never seen it.
I had no idea, because this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's like one of those random comfort watches for me that I'm like, when I just need a movie on in the background, it's either this or it's White Chicks. I don't know why.
I don't think I can watch it again. I really don't think I can watch it again.
Oh my gosh. Okay, tell me your overall impressions before we start diving into like the recap and some of the thoughts we have today. Overall impressions.
Overall impressions is I think I would have liked it better if I'd seen it when it came out.
Okay.
If I'd seen it in the context of the 2006 release, maybe I would have appreciated it a bit more. Not just my own age, but like what was happening in the culture felt very different than, a rewatch 20 years later or a watch for the first time 20 years later. But I did appreciate the adaptation of Shakespeare because I'm a huge Shakespeare nerd. So I liked how faithful they were to some of those original pieces while still modernizing in a lot of ways. And also, like, was this Channing Tatum's breakout role? I don't know. I didn't look it up.
It was early on in his film career, for sure. It was not like his, he was a model, he was in music videos.
You knew they hired him just because when they had that scene where they walked into the dorm room and he wasn't wearing a shirt, you were like, oh,
yeah,
Channing
it
Tatum.
was early though. Cause like he did, I think like Coach Carter and like Havoc and some other stuff. But this was the same year that She's the Man came out, was when he did Step Up. And I would say Step Up was probably his bigger breakout role, but 2006 was definitely the year of Tatum, I would say. So very early on in his career, whereas Amanda Bynes was already like a freaking superstar at this point.
I remember watching her when I was in like middle school and high school on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, she was definitely queen of Nickelodeon at the time.
Yeah, so to have her like have a breakout role at this level was probably pretty huge for her career. Yeah.
And this was also a time for Amanda Bynes when she was, obviously she had the Amanda Show. She had there was like a sketch comedy series on Nickelodeon that she did for a long time.
All that with Keenan and Kel were in there too.
Yeah, but she had What a Girl Wants in 2003, which is another movie I really enjoy. And then there was this. Right after this, she went to do the movie adaptation of Hairspray with the Zac Efron and Nikki What's-Her-Toes. And then Easy A was after that. And then she did take a hiatus soon after that for all of her mental health and addiction issues after that. But this was very much like her film. This is what she was known for.
So why is this the comfort film for you? Why is this the one that you always go back to?
I think what I like about it's like a teen comedy of the early 2000s is it's ridiculous. It's light. There is cringe, but not too much. And I find the dialogue is always pretty fun. I feel like this era of adaptation, this era of, I'll call it like young teen sex comedy, is fun, but it doesn't go as, I'll say, raunchy as something like American Pie, which is a movie I cannot watch in terms of like a teen romantic sex comedy. Like I can't watch American Pie. It's the ultimate cringe. But this feels like it's just like a nice little balance of it. I love the characters in it. I love Amanda Bynes. I love Channing Tatum. I love the supporting cast, with the exception of David Cross. I'm not a David Cross fan, but like Vinnie Jones is there as the coach, and I just love any time Vinnie Jones shows up. I'm like, yes, thank you. Thank you, very tough British man, for bringing that comedy relief as you exude true masculinity. But you're just like a little sweet potato. It's very enjoyable.
I am a David Cross fan.
Oh, I really don't like him at all. Okay, I love it.
That's too funny.
This. Well, because you like Arrested Development, right?
It was Arrested Development, yeah.
Yeah, I hated that show. I couldn't watch it at all. So I feel like you're either, for his type of comedic energy, you either like him or you do not, and we are just in separate camps.
It's like we talk a lot about the Chaos Gremlin character. And how if you have one carefully placed Chaos Gremlin character, it can come and like shitster. But Arrested Development is 10 chaos gremlins that are all shoved into a little cage and shaken. And that is what makes it unique. But also it's bananas. I can see how it could be unwatchable, but I also love it and quote it all the time.
I feel this for you. Okay, so let's dive into a really quick recap or overview of this plot. So the reason I proposed this particular film is I was thinking of like, what are some romantic comedies or romance films in general that maybe take place at a school? And I was thinking 10 Things I Hate About You, which is another great adaptation. I was thinking Never Been Kissed. I was thinking The Duff, Pretty in Pink, a couple others like that. And we kind of said, okay, we're going to save Pretty in Pink for when we eventually talk about 80s rom-coms to continue our trend.
I want like a whole Molly Ringwald thing.
I want Brat Pack everywhere. 10 Things I Hate About You. We'd love to do that as like a different focus on adaptations. I think there's some interesting stuff to do. And I was like, okay. And Never Been Kissed stresses me the fuck out in terms of like, he thinks she's a student, Michael Vartan. So we're like, okay, what about She's the Man? It has like some interesting love triangles happening. So it is loosely inspired by Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. We have Viola Hastings, played by Amanda Bynes, who is a little bit of a tomboy, a little bit of an unconventional female. She's not like other girls. And she's a huge soccer player. And she goes to her school one day to find out that the girls' soccer team has been cut. And when she talks to her boyfriend, Justin, to try and get his support, he's like, oh, girls' soccer, you don't need that anyway. And she's like, I will have my revenge and prove you all wrong. Her twin brother, Sebastian, a little bit of a hipster. He's in a band. And both children do not necessarily get along with either of their divorced parents, who are very traditional debutante country club folk. So Sebastian says, I'm about to go to London to play with my band. Can you just tell mom that I'm at dad's, and vice versa? And Viola, knowing that Sebastian was about to start at a new school, has a think. And she goes, the school that he's about to go to is my current school's arch rivals when it comes to soccer. So what if I disguised myself as my twin brother, went to his school, which starts a few weeks before mine, joined their soccer team, and play my ex-boyfriend's team and show them how superior I am in all things? And of course, chaos ensues because Viola is having to disguise herself as her brother. She is sharing a dorm room with boys like Duke Orsino, played by Channing Tatum. She's trying to, audition. She's auditioning for the sports ball. She's trying out for the soccer team. It turns out, compared to some of the boys on that team, she's not as good. So there's a thing of, I need to get better at my soccer. I need to maintain my disguise. She's got Olivia, who is a classmate, who's kind of like crushing on her as Sebastian, but she's crushing on Duke as Viola, but she looks like a boy. And all of these, comedies ensue of her trying to protect her identity and make the soccer team. And this all gets compounded when her brother gets back earlier than expected, and people assume that, oh yeah, you are the one who plays on the soccer team. And it ends in a big public reveal that, oh my God, they're twins. And then there's a subplot with the debutante ball, which I'm sure we'll chat about. But woohoo, the twins are back, and everybody ends up with the person that they are supposed to end up with. And then Vinnie Jones and David Cross are there for random male comedic relief. Ta-da! She's the man. Okay, so
I feel like we should edit that last part down to Nikki does movie recaps in 1 minute or less, and then splice in all these extra like pew 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 pew.
Things happen. If A, then B, so that C occurs. I can write a narrative. You're welcome.
Especially in these love triangles where you're like, well, Duke thinks that it's Sebastian, but actually it's Viola, and Olivia is falling for Sebastian, but it's actually Viola, and then Olivia kisses Sebastian, but it's actually Sebastian. It's not Viola. Trust is Sebastian. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to follow in like a very like complicated mistaken identity that you see so much in Shakespeare, like the disguises, the illusions, the needing to be in two places at once. The freaking twins are so Shakespearean that the minute they showed up on screen, I'm like, yes, I need this.
Yes, which I love this because the theme I'm giving this episode is 5 reasons why She's the Man is the best modern Shakespeare adaptation ever made.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh. Because I do love 10 Things I Hate About You.
I do too. For very different reasons. But I think this particular film, for reasons I will share,
I can't wait.
follows a Shakespeare plot line a little bit more closely.
Does.
There you
does.
go.
All right,
Yeah.
you might be able to convince me. You might be able to bring me around on this.
I'm stretching. I'm stretching.
Because I was just like, sports ball. I don't want to watch these soccer scenes. Fast forward, bloop, 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 bloop. If TiVo still had a sound, I would be blooping all over the place.
That's such a random specific reference that I'm sure all of the young people that listen to this don't know what that means. Folks, let me tell you, there used to be a thing called TiVo.
Andrea Jones mentioned TiVo on her podcast this week.
Did she
so
really?
I think I'm thinking about TiVo. And she
There you
didn't make
go.
the bloop bloop noise. And I was like, how can you talk about TiVo without being like bloop 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 bloop? That was the best part.
Okay. Thank you for that reference, that cultural touchdown. Okay, so the first thing
Dude, TiVo was a thing when She's the Man came out. I am just accurate to the time period.
I never had TiVo.
I had TiVo. I got my TiVo in 2008.
See, timely references. Some people talk about AOL, some people talk about MSN Messenger, and some people talk about TiVo. See?
I remember, because when I moved in with Ben, he was like, are you going to bring your TiVo?
Did you imagine?
By then, we'd moved on to Roku, though. It was a couple of years.
There you go. You're like, no, we're trying to choose our partner based on their availability of technology. I'm like, damn, TiVo.
We were doing long distance, and I had to TiVo shows for him, so that way when he came, he would watch TiVo at my house.
That's amazing. This is a real life early aughts love story. She had TiVo. He had a show he wanted to watch. Will they meet and watch it?
Was he willing to drive 200 miles to watch her recording of that TV show that he wanted?
Do you remember what the main TV show was? I know this is a total sidebar. I'm just like trying to remember what was on TV around that time.
Mad Men. We were watching Mad Men together.
Oh.
We watched The Biggest Loser, which I also have issues with now. Sometimes we would watch. So yeah. Big old fucking nerd alert is we would watch Jeopardy together. We would TiVo and save our Jeopardies to watch together.
But I would assume one of you would not watch it in advance so that nobody could cheat at the questions.
Correct. No, we would wait. Mm-hmm. We would wait until he arrived on Friday, and then we would sit down and watch Jeopardy. God,
I love this for you.
Meant to be.
So nerdy.
Meant to be.
Okay, back to Shakespeare. Speaking of nerdy, let's talk about Shakespeare and romance. Okay, so when we talk about Shakespeare's comedies and the romantic subplots, the number one thing that comes up in many of Shakespeare's work, also Twelfth Night and also this, is the concept of a masquerade or a hidden identity. Because Twelfth Night, by its very plot line, which is what we're recreating here, is hidden identity. It's secret identity. And where a lot of the comedy comes in is Viola knows she's dressing as Sebastian. Sebastian doesn't know that Viola is out being him. In the original Shakespeare production, there's a shipwreck and the twins are separated. They each think the other has perished. So Sebastian doesn't know that Viola is out there. And in this film, Sebastian is off playing with his band, dude, in London. And people are going wild for my music and my lyrics. And Viola is out living this double life, having to be herself and having to be her brother. And when we talk about this in the adaptation, bringing this into a school setting, going along with the theme for this month, is there is this idea of when you change schools, there's the opportunity to reinvent yourself and to be that cool person. Like, I don't know about you, I moved schools a lot when I was growing up. And every time I thought, I'm like, this is going to be the time. But I was never the cool kid. I was very much Viola as Sebastian showing up at Illyria and being like, what's up, my dude? And being very awkward. That was me. I identify.
I never moved. Not once.
No, because I know
once.
you always talked about like your cul-de-sac or your area being really close, but
I grew up 7 miles from where I live now.
Oh, good Lord. Mm-hmm. Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So this whole thing, like we talked about hidden identity with like the secret royalty, secret billionaire thing. Mm-hmm. But I think the pressure of being at a boarding school, I love like this pressure that it brings in, but also like the reason for her cross-dressing, we'll call it, is I want to take revenge on my ex-boyfriend. And I want to prove that I can play with the boys. But there's all this tension because she's trying to be a blank slate and trying to be boy. But she girl. She not boy, she girl, Meg. This is confusing.
And I think it works. I do actually think that part works, especially where she has these moments where it's like, well, don't just treat her like meat. She has a personality and like, wait, but I'm supposed to also butt her butt, like trying to remember how men talk to each other or boys talk to each other, but men also, let's be serious.
Yeah.
but you know, like that sort of expectation of gender norms and playing with that, but also then when Viola as Sebastian is paired up with Olivia as lab partners, and they're actually having a conversation, and Olivia's like, you're the only person who hasn't hit on me. I feel really comfortable with you. And that's why she develops the crush on him, but isn't interested in Duke. And then at the same time, Duke is saying, I wish that I had a girlfriend I could actually talk to. But he won't do that with Olivia. He just wants to hook up with her. And it's like, because she's cute, she's hot. So being able to have those sort of, not subtextual, but like the quieter conversations were some of the most interesting parts of this to me, is the I feel more comfortable with you because you're not behaving in the way that I expect you to behave based on the gender norms.
Yes. And then the real comedy comes in when, you know, using that example of Olivia and Viola as Sebastian being assigned lab partners, and Viola is kind of like, oh, I really like that lipstick or that chapstick or lip gloss or something. Like she compliments her purse. There's something like sartorial that Viola as a girl notices on Olivia and is like, oh, that's cute. Oh, I got it from so. Oh, I love that store. Oh, wait, I'm a dude. Yeah, it's a good thing there. Which is like what I love in comedy when there is disguise and they kind of like have to check themselves to be like, here's my natural personality, but oh, dude.
Right.
Dude. I'm a dude, bro. Bro, dude. Yeah. And Olivia is kind of like, oh, okay, one, that was a little weird. But yes, that idea of like, oh, you're like not hitting it. You're actually having a conversation with me that I feel like is a real conversation.
Yeah.
Which is so, and that's where the comedy really gets to come in, is like a person's natural inclinations, personality wise, come out, and then they have to check themselves, or they get checked to be like, oh, that's different. And they're like, oh shit, I have forgotten that I am boy. I am boy now.
Okay, you're starting to kind of bring me around to this, because I also loved that moment of when Viola is not in disguise and they're at the kissing booth, and Duke's been waiting at the first of all, kissing booth, you know, weird, but from a plot device perspective, it works. Okay, so Duke's been waiting in line. He paid his $1. He's stepping up to kiss Olivia, and Olivia gets replaced by Viola, and so he has to kiss someone new that he wasn't expecting, and they have that chemistry, and he's like, oh, that's Sebastian's sister. Oh, like it works because they're twins in a way that it wouldn't work if they weren't twins. Like, it's not just the physical resemblance of being fraternal twins. It's also, we already have some sort of tie to each other. And in that moment where Viola is complimenting, I don't know, Olivia's shoes or purse or whatever, and she's like, oh, I got it in Anthropology. Oh, they sell that there? You know, like, it works because he can say, oh, my sister would like that one, you know, like the fact that they have the sibling connection makes it almost a little bit easier for the Viola character to explore a little more, to step outside of it a little bit, to say, oh, my sister would like that, or my sister got mad at her boyfriend when he behaved that way, so I don't want to behave that way. She can sort of like push her expectations onto her understanding of herself as Sebastian by using her actual self as like a mirror. Okay, totally. I really like this now.
I'm getting it. It's happening. No, I think that's such like an astute observation. I think sometimes when we have twins or we have siblings, even in other romantic stories, it's like you see someone exhibit a trait or a quality that you're familiar with. Like sometimes in Hidden Identity, it's like, oh, the way that they cocked their head, or the way that they like, she chewed her lip when she was thinking. Like, not that many people chew their lips. We're not Kristen Stewart in Twilight here. But like, they see a physical trait or a way of speaking that because they recognize it, there's like an instant comfort. And that allows them to like build rapport a little bit quicker because it's familiar. It feels safer. And then when you bring in something like the kissing booth, which again, fucking awkward thing. Like, I want to talk about the carnival after because it's weird. But it has like, I like how Channing Tatum's like character of Duke is kind of like, oh, I like this. Oh, sibling, that could be weird. But also like, I'm really comfortable with the sibling. Why are you guys twins? Like, this is weirding me out a little bit. Especially when there is a scene when Viola as Sebastian realizes that Duke is just really awkward with girls, for all that he's like a hot hunky dude on the soccer team. He's really awkward and doesn't know how to talk to women. So they have this little like role play situation in their shared dorm room of like, talk to me. And he's like, and then Viola as Sebastian puts on her quote unquote girl voice, and Duke is immediately like, oh wow, that's creepy, you do that so well. And it's like, yeah, I have a sister, I'm the sister, I have a sister.
Right.
And I just like all those different ways that it gets to pop up, including the grand reveal, which again, I want to come back to that because that's a fucked up reveal.
Before we get to the debutante ball, the reveal, the game, all that, I want to stay for just a second and linger here on those mannerisms that make you feel comfortable, the things that you do or don't do that give you away. And I wouldn't normally bring this up, but since it is a Shakespearean adaptation, I think that one of the things that Twelfth Night does very well, similar to another Shakespearean play, is did you ever do the Comedy of Errors?
I did parts of it. I've performed monologues from it, but I don't think I ever studied like the full play.
It is a masterclass in mistaken identity. It's so good because it's two sets of twins. And neither of the sets of twins knows that the other one is in town. So people are constantly bumping into twin A and thinking they're talking to twin B. So you get a little bit of like this Fight Club energy of like, I thought I was talking to Tyler Durden, you know? Like,
yeah.
And so they're misinterpreting things. They're going on dates with the wrong people. They're bumping into a person that they just got into a fight with, or that they're dating, but they think that they just got into a fight with because they're bumping into the wrong twin. And it's so hard. You need to see it on a stage for it to make any sense, because if you're just reading it, you're like, who are these people? But it's such a fascinating play that does this so well. And it's so different from Twelfth Night, where it's one person playing both to a great extent. You sort of get it at the end where Sebastian comes back, or I think it's Cesaro in the actual play. But in Comedy of Errors, the thing that sets them apart is the mannerisms that aren't the same. Ooh. The behaviors or the facial tics or the expressions or the ways that they speak that are different, versus in Twelfth Night, part of what, especially Duke in particular, he feels more comfortable with the Sebastian character, and then he starts to see some of those things that are also true in Viola. Ooh. So it's the things that are the same that almost make it feel more comfortable, especially at the end where he's like, I miss my roommate, you know? But then it's also interesting to be like, well, how are they different? They didn't have time in the screenplay to explore the unmasking of Sebastian. They just like slapped some paint on his face, which they absolutely would not do in a game where people sweat, but okay. Nobody noticed. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really fun. I just realized too that like when I lived in Tokyo back in university, they would take you out for many cultural experiences, the exchange students. So they actually took us to a kabuki show. And when one of my best friends had done the same exchange program, but like the year prior, he's like, yeah, the kabuki show we went to see was like a really like esoteric traditional Japanese story. It was very hard to follow. When I went, it was a kabuki adaptation of Twelfth Night.
Oh.
And obviously they speak Japanese on stage.
Right.
But what we had was like a program guide, and it kind of gave you just like the breakdown of scene by scene, act by act, like the log line. So it would be like Act 1, Scene 1, a shipwreck happens and the twins are separated. Act 1, Scene 2. So real quick log line, is kind of how you would follow it. And I knew the story well enough. Like I knew Twelfth Night well enough that I could follow it. And this just reminded me, how they kind of showed the twins in that, because the opening scene was one of the best theatrical adaptations I've ever seen. Literally, it was a gigantic ship on the entire stage, and the ship kept spinning around. It was like on a record almost.
Like a gimbal.
Yeah, and it just kept moving around, and you would have the characters pop out of a window on the ship and then pop out of the other window and show up on the deck. And that's kind of how they showed like the discombobulation of the twins losing track of each other. And I just remember, like, obviously on a stage show, you can use costume, and with kabuki, they have these elaborately painted faces.
Right.
So it's very easy to disguise who is playing who in what scene. But it was really interesting how they did use like costume and face paint to make the Viola look like Sebastian. But so they would have the same costume and the same paint, but their mannerisms would be completely different to remind the audience that that's a woman disguised as a man. It was a fascinating adaptation. I was so happy I didn't have to sit through like a esoteric Japanese folklore, but I did get to see Twelfth Night done in kabuki, which was amazing. But very, very fun in that way. Okay.
What was that show? God, Orphan Black. That's what it is, Black Orphan. Orphan Black did, I mean, so much with the same actress playing
Tatiana Maslany, Queen of all queens. Queen of all queens. She never won an Emmy, which is ridiculous.
Robbery, right?
So
it's
much so.
Criminal. But the fact that they could slap a wig on her and she would just become, and like sometimes she would be playing herself or playing a character pretending to be another character, and you could see the cracks in her, like, oh, this is not the way that Allison would deliver this. This is the way
clearly that's Cosima or whomever. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Queen of all queens, Canadian treasure, Tatiana Maslany. Loved her. Oh my
you
God,
Canadians gotta shout each other out.
Always. I need to go back and watch Orphan Black. Okay, so next reason why this is a great Shakespearean adaptation, and it is this concept of sports as modern chivalry. So in Shakespeare, we've got duels, we've got courtly displays of wit or intelligence with swords, with etc. Here, who are those cool kids? We have our athletes, we have our soccer players. And all the way to show your strength and competency and manliness and worth is on the soccer pitch. So instead of swords, we have soccer. And that is the place where Viola has to both prove her worth and her equalness to Duke, but also her manliness. The thing to validate her as a male existing in this boarding school is her skill at soccer. She's not dueling. She's like, look at me on the soccer pitch. And I just thought that was so funny because when she first joins the Illyrian team, after she leaves Cornwall, because Cornwall was her school where the team got cut, and her boyfriend is like, you guys can't, you would never cut it on the men's team. And she's like, I could run circles around you. And he goes, I don't think so. So she's like, I'm going to fucking prove it. She goes to Illyria. When she auditions, tries out. It's not a theater. It's not theater. It's sports. She tries out, Meg, for the soccer team. She does not do very well. She's put on second string, and it's kind of like a blow to her manliness and worth to be like, oh, I'm not good enough to play. What's going to happen to my revenge plot? Also very Shakespearean, this revenge plot. But she's working really hard, and eventually Duke makes her a deal. You help me get Olivia, because clearly you know how to talk to women, you woman in disguise. But I'll help you get better at soccer, and I'll help you make first string. So it's one of the ways their relationship develops is he starts training her to make first string, and he's helping her with her skills. And then the coach notices how hard she's working, and like, boom, Hastings, first string. And she's like, I have succeeded in all of my things. But we get to see these athletes be not so great at certain things or not be the cool kid. So Duke is horrible with women. And there's his teammate whose name I cannot remember, who has a crush on like this really kind of geeky, creepy woman named Eunice. And they're all like, oh, she's so awkward and weird. And when Sebastian or Viola as Sebastian's like, no, I think she's cool. And is hanging out with Eunice. This teammate of Duke's is like, see, when I liked her, you all thought I was crazy, but she is really cool. I do enjoy the sports ball.
Like I said, I blooped right through it, but I think, I obviously had some issues with gender presentation and gender norms, which you're going to expect in any sort of 12th night retelling. But one of the things that rubbed me the wrong way is how many like stupid macho fights broke out, whether they were between the boys or the girls. So like at the carnival, and we can go back and talk about the carnival, but at the carnival, Viola's ex-boyfriend and Duke get into it because Duke kissed Viola at a kissing booth where she was volunteering. And
she got voluntold, let's be real. Yeah, she was not choosing.
It's true. And that the ex-boyfriend, she says like, I broke up with you, and they still get into a fight. And then there's the fight between the women in the bathroom who get into a fight, and they like sort of like cat fight, like pulling each other's hair sort of fight.
Yeah,
and then
much.
Again on the soccer pitch they get into another fight that should have gotten them ejected because that's way red card. And like that was the indicator of dominance.
Yeah, it's really, isn't it weird how traditional displays of masculinity across all generations are kind of cringe? Interesting how
weird.
That
Weird. And again, this was 20 years ago. I think the
oh my God, don't say that. No.
Sorry, 19 years ago, Nikki?
Oh,
Does that make it better?
No, it's not better. I don't love it. Yeah, there are some like, talking about sports and chivalry. We often think about sports as a vehicle for manliness and things like that. And to your point, there's these weird fights that kind of break out. But then there's also Viola's own preconceptions of what it means to be masculine and to be a man, how she speaks, how she tries to be bro, and it's real awkward, but also like how she talks with them, how she covers certain things. Like when she first moves into the dorm, Duke or one of the other roommates finds her tampons. And they're like, ew, what's that? And we're like, guys, calm the fuck down. It's tampons. Is it weird that a guy has them? Yes, it's weird. But like, calm down. It's tampons. But then Viola tries to cover with the whole, yeah, it stops nosebleeds. It's really great. It's really cool. But even how she does that to try and recover is just weird to me. It's very of the time, but it's weird.
You know, when I said I don't think I can watch this again, it wasn't even about the stereotypes. It wasn't about the cringe moments. It was the way that she talked as Sebastian.
Yeah.
Her voice is bad.
Mm-hmm. It's a very gendered choice.
Yes,
for her.
But it also like sounded Southern for no reason when she wasn't, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't, it grated my ears. It wasn't like, oh, I don't like that acting choice. It was like, you know, when people have a really bad vocal fry and you sort of like curl up and cringe. It felt like that to me when I was listening to it.
Yeah, and I think there could be an argument to like just go down a random pipeline. There is an element of her vocal choice for that aspect of her character that kind of read almost as like a black scent in a way. Like to be cool, to be bro is to kind of take on some vocal characteristics of a younger black man with a weird Southern accent for some reason. I agree.
Yeah.
Like there was choices were made.
I think she could have just changed the pitch without needing to put it on so much. I know that they were trying to make it clear, like, this is when she is being this character, but it felt a little too much. And not over the top in a good way, you know?
Yeah, but I think part of that is Amanda Bynes as an acting choice to do things, but I also think part of that is her character's assumption of what it is to act cool as a guy and put it on, which again, very much of the time.
Very much of the time.
Weird. All right.
Which was not 20 years ago.
No, it's 19. Let's be real. Still not better. It's still not better. Okay, so the next reason why this is an amazing Shakespearean adaptation is this idea of collisions and discovery.
Ooh.
So a big thing in a lot of Shakespeare's work, and we see this again in secret identity romance, in forced proximity romance, is this like overwhelming specter of discovery. And what are all the close calls? What are all the moments when something is almost revealed? What are the things that happen when like romantic tension starts ratcheting up and it's like, oh, wait, this is inappropriate because I guy, you guy. They're not. It also reminds me, do you ever watch like Victor Victoria, either the play or the Julie Andrews film?
Oh, maybe a million years ago.
Yeah, it's very similar to that because Victor Victoria, Julie Andrews' character, is a woman pretending to be a man who is a female impersonator. Because then her voice, where she can hit these really, really high notes, they're like, oh, a man as a female impersonator, those notes are amazing. But if she's just a woman singing, then it's not that impressive. But there's always these constant collisions and these constant like sexual tensions or romantic undertones that people are like, whoa, I feel like I almost did a gay thing and that would be weird. So that shows up in this one too. You know, we can, the ones that immediately came to mind for me were the locker room scene, or when she's trying out for the soccer team. She's like, I have to be shirts. I can't do skins. Like I need to keep my shirt on. Or I need to shower really late at night. I can't shower right now because my secret will be unveiled. When the new people on the soccer team get hazed and they get waken up in the middle of the night and they're like throwing like mac and cheese or something at them. I forget what was being thrown at them.
Who knows?
But they're in the shower room and they're told to like strip, and she has to like sneak out so she doesn't get discovered. So there is that constant threat of being unveiled, but there's also Channing Tatum being like, oh, what the tingles in the chesty bits? I don't know if he went so far as tingles in the groiny bits. It may have happened. But Viola can't escape her crush, or she can't escape her secret because of where she is located and the constant collisions and threats that she has to navigate. So Shakespearean.
You're so cute.
Thank you. See, we're nerding out about this. I really enjoy this. But like, what was your? Because I think some of the other awkward spots are around the idea of like the close proximity almost being unveiled. So compared to, other than her voice, um, how did you kind of read those like forced proximity almost unveiled moments? Were those good for you, or were you like, these are still icky?
Most of them worked for me. Mm-hmm. Especially those moments where she had to change quickly, she had to escape quickly. She accidentally still had the sideburn on and had to pull it off or something like that. Or she had the wrong hair at one point. Like, I like any of those little flub ups during the process. All of those felt very much like they belonged on a stage, like the person running out dressed incorrectly. And it's so common in Shakespeare. I was just trying to remember where they were and looking some of them up, where it's like, As You Like It has this, Merchant of Venice has this, Much Ado About Nothing. It's not really disguised, but it's like as they're in this sort of potion space, even like Henry V.
You're such a nerd. I love this.
I'm writing a lot of Henry V into my current romance novel, so it's very fresh on my mind.
That.
But it's like the king actually disguises himself as a commoner so he can walk on the battlefield the night before and hear people talking about their fears. Like there are times where the disguise can actually help them and like help them get out of their perspective and hear other people's opinions, which I really love. But there's certainly a history of this happening in these books, but I do think, or stories, but I think She's the Man, this was one of the things that it did incredibly well, is those moments of, there's just even one moment where she's walking through the halls of Illyria, dressed as Sebastian, but on the phone with her mom, talking about how shoes were meant to slow women down. And she's talking with her mom in her Viola voice in public. And I loved that little moment of the crossing in between and people hearing her speak in her like quote unquote girl voice, but still having it be not something that gives her away. It actually made them think about, heels are a oppressive approach of the patriarchy to slow women down.
Okay, that's okay. I enjoy that. That is kind of funny. Yeah, I think she says something like, "Heels are a male invention designed to make a woman's butt look smaller and to make it harder to run away."
Yeah.
The other thing that just made me think of is the idea of, yes, like there's the close proximity discovery thing, but it's also, I love the juggling act that Viola has to do when she's hearing things from Duke, and now she likes Duke. But he's trying to go after Olivia. But she's learning enough about him that she's like, how can I use this to my advantage?
Yeah.
When I show up as girl Viola.
Yeah.
Like, she's getting real crafty with it, which, again, I really enjoy. Just because I love it when it sometimes happens in, like, secret texting relationships and other romance stories where, like, You've Got Mail's a bad example, because if that was not Tom Hanks, he would be a trash human. But when one person in a relationship knows who the other person is, but not vice versa, they get like that intel to use to try and further their romantic connection, but the other person doesn't know, and that the person who does know is like really trying to use it to get ahead or to stand out from the romantic pack, as it were. But sometimes that is really what comes back to bite them in the ass when the reveal is made that like, oh, you knew who I was all along, or that's who you were, or in this case, you were disguising yourself as your brother, and that's weird.
I mean, it is really weird.
It's weird.
Can we talk about the reveal? Should we talk about that now?
Yeah.
You know what? Finish your 5 reasons first. I think that was 3, right? Was that 3?
No, that was that was number 3. But
okay. Run me through what they are so far, so that way I can.
So the idea of masquerade and hidden identity.
Cool.
Sports being the modern chivalry, an example of manliness.
Yes.
This was the forced proximity. How do you hide your identity in various comic situations? Then the grand reveal is actually one of them. So let's talk about that.
Well,
so
perfect.
Shakespeare always has a grand reveal of some sort. There is actually another film adaptation of Twelfth Night. I can't remember who's in it, but it's a very big romantic scene when Viola, as her brother, the Duke has kind of discovered what's happening, that there are twins, and he very like sensually peels off her fake mustache. And it's very cute.
Are you thinking about Shakespeare in Love?
No. No,
Because there is that reveal too of Gwyneth Paltrow being dressed as a man, and the not Rafe Fiennes, Joseph Fiennes' character
the other Fiennes
as Shakespeare being like, oh, he undresses her from her costume.
No, the one I'm thinking about is Twelfth Night or What You Will. Helena Bonham Carter is in it. She plays like the Olivia-esque character. It's a 1996 film. Is the one I'm thinking of. I'm like, who else is in this? Ben Kingsley. Imogen Stubbs plays Viola. Okay. But like Toby Stevens is in it. He plays Duke Orsino. Richard Grant is in it. Imelda Staunton. Like, it's a fantastic film, the 1996 adaptation. They have a lot more to do with like the Malvolio subplot. And like the yellow socks, which is not really present in this adaptation, is way more in that film. It's a period piece, but it's quite fun. But there is that sensual mustache reveal, which is quite funny.
There's the moment of, is it an adaptation or is it a rom-com, right? If you were to make it more of a faithful adaptation and kept in more of that Malvolio, it would have been more like class distinctions. There could have been more to play with like grief.
Yeah, for sure.
And loss. But this is just like, it's a bubblegum rom-com, like teenagers. Like, I think they just pulled the core love triangle piece without needing to be like, and also let's discover what it would be like if she lost her brother.
Yeah. So how the reveal goes in this film is, unbeknownst to Viola, Sebastian has gotten back from London early. So he shows up at the school on the day of this big soccer match, or the night before. And when he shows up, Olivia sees him and is like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And she goes and she kisses Sebastian. Duke witnesses this and gets annoyed because he's been thinking Sebastian's been his friend and like helping him get Olivia. So he confronts, quote unquote, Sebastian. It's Viola. And of course, because it wasn't her, she has no idea what Duke is talking about. She's like, I didn't betray you. I'd never betray you. And he's like, you suck. So he kind of kicks Viola as Sebastian out of their dorm room. So she ends up bunking with Eunice that night. And when Sebastian shows up on campus and Olivia sees him, lays one on him, he's shown to where his dorm room is. And he's like, oh, Viola set up my room for me. What a nice sister. And just goes to sleep. Both twins completely ignorant of the fact that the other one is there or what's been happening. The next day...
and I like the fact he went to sleep without a shirt on.
Yes.
So that the next morning when Duke wakes up, he sort of does a double take like, oh, I've never seen that.
Never seen him without a shirt. He sleeps, Sebastian sleeps in. He's very jet lagged, coming back from his band and his people love his lyrics. And he gets woken up and they're like, you're late. And he's kind of like, what? What's going on? So they start, they give him his team face paint. They give him a jersey and he's like out on the soccer pitch and he's like, I have no idea what's going on. And he plays the first half. Meanwhile, Eunice did not wake up Viola as Sebastian on time, so she's late, which is why she did not show up for the start of the soccer game. She shows up at the second half, and she's hiding under the bleachers because she realizes, oh my God, my brother's actually here. So at halftime, they do like a little switch back to be like, you're fucking up my game, dude. Like, go. And he's like, what is going on? This really cute girl kissed me. And then Viola realizes, oh, Duke saw Olivia kissing you. It wasn't me. So she's on the pitch trying to get Duke to like pass the ball to her, to forgive her. Meanwhile, Malvolio, as the villain in the school, he's mostly
like the
irrelevant, except for, this big situation. He suspects something is up, so he's reported Sebastian to Principal David Cross, and then Sebastian's ex-girlfriend, Marguerite. What is her name?
Just Sebastian's ex-girlfriend.
Who has been dumped Monique is her name. Sorry. Monique has been dumped earlier on. She is also out for revenge because she also figures out it's Viola, not Sebastian. So a comedy of errors, very Shakespearean, ensues. And David Cross comes onto the pitch and stops the game and is like, this boy is a girl. And it's Sebastian. And he's like, definitely not a girl. Definitely not a girl. And for him, there's an instance of dropping trow of a sort. And then when Viola comes back on in his place, and, obviously they're two different people. It's very obvious their build is completely different. But, suspension of disbelief. They're all like, no, it's not true. And then Viola flashes everybody to be like, look, I got boobs. I am a girl. And then it all comes out. Olivia's like, cool, I still get a guy. But Duke is like, no, fuck off. I'm not happy about this. But
Which, like, for good reason.
Fair.
Totally fair.
Yes, but this grand reveal is a very Shakespearean contract. And I do like how this reveal goes, because it does not end in Duke, like, taking Viola in his arms and goes, you, the girl I've liked all along, and you, the boy who I was sexually confused by. You are both the same person. Da, 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 da. Smoochy, smoochy, done. That doesn't happen.
Thank
which
God.
I really like. I do.
I think it would have been too trite.
Yes.
It wouldn't have given them any room for growth.
Because we do like it when, in other stories we've talked about, when there isn't that immediate forgiveness, like, go away and process. There's
a betrayal here.
Yeah.
This isn't, oh, I kissed you and you're pretty, so let's date. He needs to have some time to process it. And honestly, I'm a little disappointed that there wasn't, like, so then Viola sends an invitation to the debutante ball, which we can talk about that too, and how fucked up that is. But you know, she sends him this invitation because both their moms are members of the junior league, and she doesn't think he's gonna come, but she sends the invitation anyway. And I was like, why didn't you send an apology letter?
Yeah,
that would have gone so far in my estimation of, like, she recognizes that she messed up. She knows she put him in a weird situation. She still found that she cared about him. She wasn't trying to use him, like, any of that. Even just a voiceover of her in her quote-unquote girl voice, just saying, like, I'm sorry I hurt you. I didn't know when I came up with this revenge plan that I would start to have feelings for you. Right? Like, any of that would have made it so much... It would have made it land harder if she felt like she'd done something wrong and she was trying to make up for it, not just like, well, you're cute, can you come be my date?
When you just mentioned the revenge plot again, when do you think in this story that Viola deprioritized revenge for the other stuff she had going on? Do you think she ever did?
I do think that eventually she did. I'm trying to figure out if there was a moment or if it was sort of a de-escalation. Because here's the thing, like, I think she always wanted the revenge. I think she always wanted to prove that she was good enough. I think she did always want to get back at the ex-boyfriend for the unkind words that he said. But I think there came a point where she was no longer willing to use everyone to get there. But I also don't think that the revenge plot was not as much like emotional manipulation. It was all the other stuff. I think part of it may have been, you know, I wonder if it's the moment where she's in the bathroom with Olivia and Olivia says that she has a crush on Sebastian. And that's when Viola realizes just how tangled the web is. Because before that, when Viola was like, oh, I want to date Duke because we had this kiss and I think he's a nice guy on top of being hot, she's starting to be like, no, you're not interested in Olivia. Don't you want to call Viola? You should call my sister, right? Like, so even there, she's not quite realizing just how many people's feelings are involved. She thinks maybe she can just, like, change Duke's mind. And not need to tell him about all of this. But I think the moment where she realizes that Olivia's feelings have gotten involved for her presentation of who Sebastian is supposed to be, I think that might be the moment where she goes, oh, this got bigger than I realized.
Oh, I love that, because thank you for queuing me up for my last reason on why She's the Man is the best Shakespearean adaptation. It is the concept of, like, gossip and, like, messengers. So in many Shakespeare plays, there's, you know, obviously there's gossip, there's things like messages not getting delivered, or the use of messages and notes and subterfuge to move the plot along so that when things are revealed, that ultimately propels some aspect of the plot forward. So here, instead of misdelivered letters and, like, servants kind of, like, creeping around in the background, like, oh, did you hear? It's school gossip. It's public showdowns. It's a comedy of errors and love triangles and the makeover scenes that kind of deliver this ultimate propulsion that it still has the same energy and comedy of a Shakespeare put into these modern situations.
I do really love the moment in the pizza parlor where Sebastian walks in and the guys are like, oh, he's the worst. And then like they stage these women coming in and being like, Sebastian, why would you leave me?
You're so good at sex and kissing and boyfriend.
Yeah, and then like Sebastian's actual girlfriend comes in and she has to hide in that moment. I think that I loved the staging of that and how it changed the perspective of Sebastian, even if it was all staged. Like that was so perfectly Shakespearean.
Yeah, so I love the restaurant showdown because when Monique comes in, it's like, oh, Sebastian, I want to talk to you. And it's like, girl. And Viola's like, if she gets too close to me, she's going to realize I'm not actually Sebastian. So she's like throwing people in front of her and guys with large pizza box stacks are coming in and out of the frame. But she has like this really big line where she just kind of like announces to the entire pizza parlor, like, it's over, Monique, we're done. Because when my eyes are closed, I see you for what you truly are, which is ugly. And then she, like, Monique runs out and is crying. I was like, that's kind of mean to do to, like, a 17-year-old girl. But, like, the whole audience cheers and, like, Duke and the rest of the soccer guys are like, dude, you're so cool. Come sit with us. And she's like, I have achieved social ascendancy. Because that's from that moment on is when Duke and the other guys are like, you're cool. You're not a weird too.
But it took the gay best friend organizing this intervention to have it happen too.
He also did, and her friend also did her man makeover. So when she decides to do this, she goes to her friend's salon and he like deals with the wig and the sideburns. He teaches her how to like walk, which is a lot of junk grabbing apparently. But how to walk. And when Viola realizes that she's not making connections, it's this friend that she calls and he's like, okay, we're going to get our girlfriends to come to this restaurant and like pump you up because that's what guys want to see, that you're good with chicks. And that ultimately creates the love triangle because he has achieved the social ascendancy. He gets closer with Duke and then that's what starts really the Olivia love triangle going there. But it's this whole idea of like this gossip and these like messengers and people talking to so and so and so and so and so and so is like it's very Shakespearean, but I love how they modernized it in this with this idea of like gossip and reputation at a school.
And it's also back to school, right? Like it really does fit the setting of high school is so much what do people think of you? What did they hear about you? What's the gossip running around? What may or may not be true? It definitely plays into that a lot too. It works really well in this setting.
Yeah. Oh, her best friend's character is Paul Antonio. It's one of the characters in the original is Antonio. Very, very fun. Amazing. So those have been my 5 reasons why this is the best Shakespeare adaptation done, because I think it has the most qualities of Shakespeare. There are other adaptations like 10 Things I Hate About You. I love 10 Things. Other than the character archetypes, I don't think it takes very much from a Shakespearean adaptation at all. So which is how I was able to get so niche with this. Yeah.
I think you convinced me to like it a lot more than I came into it.
I'm winning because clearly I just want everybody to love random romantic comedies from 2006.
So clearly you love this movie. What is it that you ship the most about it?
From a production standpoint, I think it's Amanda Bynes. I think for her time, her sense of comedic timing is brilliant. She was one of the funniest women of her age working in Hollywood in the early 2000s. And it is sad that she unfortunately had to go through the health issues that she did. But I think she's luminous on screen. She has amazing comedic timing. She has such great chemistry with everyone in the cast that despite maybe her awkward vocal choices, I think this is her film. Like, she's number 1 on the call sheet for a reason. She really leads the energy of it. So, but other than Amanda Bynes, I do love that the restaurant showdown, the carnival kissing booth showdown, like these little set pieces that ratchet up the tension of discovery but also move relationships forward. I think they're very well staged. They're awkward. They're a product of its time, Meg. But I think they're very well plotted and filmed to bring a lot of comedy, to bring a lot of tension into it.
I actually don't think they're a product of their time. I think that those scenes are particularly timeless.
Intriguing.
The trade-offs that she has to do in order to be 2 people at the same time. The comedy of that, I think, yes, maybe now in the post-Me Too movement, we wouldn't have a kissing booth. But like to a great extent, some of those sartorial decisions, some of those blocking choices, those felt really on the nose to me. Those felt like they could still show up in a movie now and be, if you have the staging and blocking done well, I think that those were some of the highlights of the movie.
I would like to say, though, that the Kissing Booth movie came out in 2018. So it continues. It continues.
I haven't seen that one. Maybe we should watch that, and I can have
I
many
don't think
thoughts
I
about
don't think I could. I don't think I could sit through those. That is it is a Wattpad story that became a trilogy of films, and I've seen all of them. They are hard to sit through. But maybe when we talk about early 2000s romance or mid 2000s romance, maybe it'll come back. Maybe. It was a box office and social media phenomenon. So,
I mean, I would say that the thing that feels like it is not of the time or that would not translate well anymore is like the look, I'm a boy, let me pull down my pants. Look, I'm a girl, let me pull up my shirt. You know, like that to me sort of left a sour taste in my mouth that maybe I wouldn't have thought about when it first came out, because that was sort of the narrative in the culture was this is how we are perceiving ourselves, and maybe I've become so woke that maybe I've gone too far that I can't appreciate it anymore. But there's also like they would have done that differently in modern adaptation.
But so Meg, what are we shipping the most about She's the Man?
You know, for me, I think it is the love triangle. So often I don't love a love triangle. I think that they can be used in a narrative structure to say, like, this is not really about the people. This is about what path are you going to choose? You know, in the like of our generation, the love triangle is Jacob or Edward, you know? And it's like, are you going to go the path of which path are you going to choose? One's more tied to your family. The other one is more, you know, seductive or whatever. And so when I think about love triangles that way, but I did really like this love triangle because it really put the Viola character, even more into the bind of, oh, I made other people feel things I wasn't intending, and I have to undo this problem, which then ended up just resolving itself because Olivia loved Sebastian's music. Fine, whatever. It just
his lyrics,
it was
man.
Yeah, it was a nice little button on top to just like close the door on it. But I liked the love triangle in a way that normally I shy away from love triangles. I thought it was done really well.
I agree, because it felt like the stakes were high enough that it felt interesting, but not so high that you're like, this is going to fuck people up and send them into therapy.
Yeah, it was like one kiss on both sides. It wasn't like, you know, oh, I'm breaking up this 10-year-long relationship, or we're having an affair behind closed doors or whatever. It was very kind of above board. You know, he said, she said, more like, I like him, does he like me? Not deep feelings involved in it yet.
Meg, what are you shipping this week?
I am shipping a new book by friend of the pod, Alexa Martin. It is How to Sell a Romance. We talked about this with her on our Super Bowl episode. So this was in February. She knew that it was coming out this July. And I'm shipping it because I don't think I knew this when we were talking about it, but it is teacher parent. So similar to what we discussed last week with M.A. Wardell about all of his books, but this one is teacher parent. They have a one-night stand before the year starts, and then she gets into the classroom, and he is the new hot single dad.
I tell you, there's a merch line coming.
There is. So she realizes that, you know, Luke is the divorced father of one of the students in her class, and so she has to toe this line of you know, does she date him or not? But really, it's a romance, but it's also a women's fiction piece, because the main character's principal has recruited her into an MLM selling skincare, and the love interest, his ex-wife, is also in her upline. And he's a journalist. They actually meet at the convention for the MLM skincare product. It's called Petunia Lemon. I think Alexa was like,
great name.
Yeah, what's like the most like flowery, fruity, you have to like it. It's really peppy sort of skincare. And so they sort of like agree to infiltrate in a journalistic way this MLM and figure out all of these things, and then like produce a takedown article together to bring down the MLM. And there's some really hot dad sex scenes. So highly recommend How to Sell a Romance by Alexa Martin.
Oh, that was on my TBR. I might just move it up a little bit.
You're going to move it on up.
That sounds really fun. Coming up next week, we are continuing our back to school month, and we are checking in on some very popular L. Kennedy books. And I haven't read either one of them. So I'm going to be in the new read hot seat next week. We will see you then. Bye.
Bye.